5 high school students, practically strangers to each other because of their background diversities, are forced to spend 8 hours in a Saturday school for detention, each one of them with a specific assignment of writing an essay with 1,000 words that is about who they think they are. Each one of them have controversy with each other in the beginning, but when in the end they discover that they have a lot of things in common and a lot of problems pertaining to their own lives that they have in common. You're going to hear about 5 high school students that show movement through a variety of behavior and communication, and learn about each other through a process that I observed as self-disclosure. An introduction to the students in this film. Bender, I observed as an aggressor. He's mouthy and he's a bully to all of the other students that are in the group. Allison, I observed as a shirker. She is quiet and she keeps mostly withdrawn, and she's a little crazy. Andrew, I observed as a harmonizer, because when Bender is mouthy to the rest of the group, he seems to stand up for him, and he feels like that he has competition because he's involved in a lot of sports, and so he feels like he's just as tough as what Bender is. Bender's very insulting to the rest of the crowd. Brian, he's just the smart one. And Claire is a very popular girl that the rest of the group thinks that she has money because of the clothes that she dresses in and the fancy jewelry that she wears. There are 3 different stages of the group development in this film. Number 1 being storming. In the beginning, the communication is nonverbal and very tense between the 5 students. Bender is a bully. He starts conflict between each of the students, and he harasses Claire for her popularity and harasses the other members of the group. Bender is also destructive to the property. In one part of his film, he removes the bolts from the school door where the room that the teacher sits in, so that the door closes and the teacher can't observe the behaviors that's going on in the classroom. When the teacher finds out, he's very angry. He comes in. The rest of the students are afraid that they're going to get in trouble because Bender, being the bully he is not going to confess up to what he's done. And the rest of the students just kind of be quiet because they don't want to be involved in the trouble that he's going to get in. In the second stage, it's called norming. The group starts to talk about their lives and why they each feel that their life is unfair and why it is so hard to them personally. They realize that they have common feelings and common problems in their families. After a while of getting bored in the classroom, they start to whistle together and start getting along. Then Bender decides he's going to leave the classroom and go to his locker, and the rest of the group decides to become followers, and they follow him even though they know that there is going to be consequences if they get caught. So on their way out of the locker, on their way back, the teacher is out wandering the hallways, and they know that they're going to get in trouble, so Bender decides that he's going to be the cover-up, and he sticks up for the group, and he distracts the teacher so that the others can get back to the class without getting caught. Bender eventually gets removed from the class and walked into a separate room by himself, but he decides he wants to be with the rest of the group, and he sneaks back. And when the teacher finds out that there's things going on in the classroom that he doesn't know about, they cover up and hide Bender so that the teacher doesn't know that Bender has snuck back. Then, against all of the students' better judgments, they all follow Bender, and they go into a different classroom, and they all smoke pot and get high together. And then they get along, they're laughing, and they're singing and they're dancing, and then they end up, through self-disclosure, spending their time communicating. In the last stage, which is performing, the group realizes that they have wasted the whole entire day messing around, arguing, fighting, and eventually getting along, and they decide that it's a waste of their time for each of them to write a 1,000-word essay about who they think they are. So they all decide that Brian, being the brain of the group, should be the one that writes one essay for the whole entire group. And despite their differences, Brian decided to go ahead and write it. They left one single essay to the teacher describing how each of them felt that they were. One is a brain, one is an athlete, one is a basket case, one is a princess, and one is a criminal. And they signed their essay from the Breakfast Club.